In all my years as a sports editor and reporter, one guy that I covered remains probably one of the most beloved and talented of his era. Of course, we're going to be talking about the legend of Matthew Wade Stairs, or Matt Stairs. Now, born February 27, 1968, Matt be best described as a professional hitter. He is probably the most famous athlete ever to come out of New Brunswick, and that's saying a lot. There's been a lot of great athletes. Probably the second or third baseball player in Canadian history in the same talent pool as Joey Votto, Fergie Jenkins, Larry Walker, Jason Bay, people like that. He was mostly an outfielder, first baseman, and DH, where also he had numerous nicknames, but one of his main nicknames you could put on his license plate, professional hitter. Now, he holds the record for most pinch hit home runs in Major League history with 23, passed, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cliff Johnson a few years ago. His pinch hit home run in the eighth inning of the Game 4 of the 2008 NLCS eventually led the Phillies to beat the LA Dodgers and the pitcher that evening, Jonathan Braxton. And it's still called one of the most memorable home runs in the history of the Philadelphia franchise. 2008 was a World Series title for Matt, well deserved. And because he was so beloved and liked, he holds a record for playing a position for 12 major league teams, which technically goes down to 13 because he played for both the Montreal Expos and their later incarnation in Washington as the Senators. Um, and he only trails the pitcher Edward Jackson, who actually, Jackson, not a very good pitcher, but a very well liked pitcher, uh, played for 14 teams. He was the second Canadian to hit more than 35 homers in a season, and second to hit 25 and drive in 100 in back-to-back seasons. Now he ranks either first or second in power hitting categories for every Canadian major leaguer, and he also holds the kind of distinction of when you say Matt Stairs, it's used as a noun and as a verb. We need a Matt Stairs. You need to hit like Matt Stairs because Matt Stairs was born in my home province in the great region of Frankton, New Brunswick. We hold great affection for him in the media because he has put so many great articles in our hands with his different results. Now, he also had a short but successful career in hockey, and we're going to get into that a little bit here. Now, growing up the Frankton region, he played Beaver League baseball a year before he was eligible, and he also excelled, like I said, in hockey. And I first heard of him when he was playing in Bandom and Midget at the age of 16, 17. And he also played for the stellar Marysville Royals of the Brunswick Senior Baseball League in his teens. And he was voted Rookie of the Year in '84 and the league's most valuable player in '85. Now, because the Franklin Schooners were part of the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League and for a couple of seasons, he was named Data Associates MVP in '87 and '88 when he was playing with the Franklin Schooners. Now, this is where he got recognition on the national level in Canada, uh, and he became an Olympian. He attended the National Baseball Institute in Vancouver, and he played for Canada at the World Amateur Championships, where he was named to the World All Star team. Now, while playing with the Canadian Juniors, he soon graduated from FHS and then went on to play for the Olympics in '88 in Seoul. And that's the year, if I'm not mistaken, where a lot of the great Canadian prospects who went on to a pro career or a coaching career showed up. Because at the time, we still had baseball in the Olympics at kind of a semi-pro or college level, kind of an under 23s. But he was ranked at one point as one of the best under 20 prospects in the whole world, similar to Vladdy Guerrero and Biggio and Bichette and the rest of the young prospects with the Blue Jays. But had recognition for a lot of reasons, and the reason was he could hit. Like I said, professional hitter would be an understatement. Quick bat, good plate interpretation. He could basically, and if you look at his stance, go on YouTube and see his stance. Not say he was like a softball hitter, but he knew where the plate was. He knew what balls kind of were positioned, and he's quick bat. You can't teach that. Mayor timers, in most cases, because of the shortened baseball season, hit a lot off the tee in the colder months as practice. And you see with Matt, he had a kind of a unorthodox swing compared to a U.S. or South and Central America player. Now, in '89, he turned pro. He signed as an international free agent by the Expos. He went down to Jamestown, where he played second and third base. Went to Double A in Harrisburg for the Harrisburg Senators, where he led the league in hitting and was voted the Eastern League's most valuable player in '91. Now, '92 and '93, he moved up to the big AAA teams in the Expo system, including Indianapolis and Ottawa, with a cup of coffee in the majors. Now, over his career, he played for 600 minor league teams, and here's what's the kind of funny part. There was a dedication event at the, I think, NB Sports Hall of Fame that I attended. They had all these jerseys. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here. There was 28 or 29 jerseys. Now, in these AAA teams, he also played for New Britain Red Sox, which was when he moved to the Red Sox, a Double A affiliate. The Pawtucket Red Sox, the Edmonton Trappers, that's a classic team, in '96. And he also did a few rehab games for the Nashville Sounds, another legendary AAA team in 2003. His totals in the minors included 2.991 average with 46 homers and 237 RBIs. And he also played, actually, it was kind of ironic. Uh, he was released by Montreal and he became a free agent. And he went over to the Japanese League in '93 for Trinity Dragons, and there he played 60 games, batting 250 with six homers and six home runs and 142 at bats. Now you have to bear with me. There's a lot of statistics to go over here. Uh, '92 started with the Expos. After he was released, he re-signed with the Expos. He only played 19 games in '92, '93, sold to the Red Sox in early February. Then he was called up from the minors in June. He played 39 games with the Sox, hitting 261 with one homer. But this is what happened. He was still highly regarded, and Oakland decided to take a chance on him. And boys, did they luck out. He had his best years with the Athletics, of course, when he was called up from AAA Edmonton, where he really, really blew away the International League with 8 homers and 41 RBIs in 51 games. He eventually finished 17th in the 1998 American League MVP race with a 258 average, with his 38 home runs and 102 RBIs. Now, he was a right fielder and designated hitter, but what was great, Oakland had a potent lineup that year, including, get this, Ricky Henderson, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco. Now, can you imagine having Henderson, McGuire, and Canseco hitting in front of you? I mean, you're going to be batting fifth or sixth, but you're going to drive in a lot of runs because all of them are Hall of Famers, MVP candidates every year. And from what published reports said, he brought the Spears in because he was not only great in the field, in the bench, because he was a good guy. And he kind of was, not say the straw to stir the drink, but the maritime kind of positivity that all Maritimers bring to sports. Now, when he made his debut with Oakland, he had almost broke a world record or a major league record with 6 runs batted in 1 inning. He hit the grand slam and a 2-run single. Although Fernando Tatis broke it in '99, he basically he made recognition, and the media loved him because he was always good for interview, good with the kids, good promoting his teams. He played a total of 5 seasons with the Athletics, hitting 122 home runs and driving in 315. Now, his salary was dumped, unfortunately, at the end of the 2000 season. He was traded to Chicago for a bucket of baseballs. And the reason why he traded him is because they would have had to pay him 3.2 million, which is really still good money for Major League Baseball in 2001. And although his production dropped, Oakland felt getting rid of him would save a little bit of cash. Now, he played first base with Chicago in 2001, and 17 home runs, 61 RBIs. 2002, he did free agency, went on to Milwaukee, another 16 home runs. 2003, moved on to the Pirates, hit a career high 292 in 128 games, and he hit 20 home runs and drove in 57. Now, one of the big highlights for him that year, where he played 3 games against the Blue Jays at the Rogers Center, where he had 5 hits and 8 at bats, including 2 tape measure home runs. Then he moved on to Kansas City for 3 years, where he signed with them after the 03 season. Um, he hit 39 home runs in 2.5 years in Kansas City and helped again the young players that were there. He was eventually traded at the deadline to the Rangers that year, and in 2006 he played only 26 games, but unfortunately Texas had a bad end of the season, so his marquee play couldn't really be used to his advantage. Now here is where the new phase of his career came in, where the era of his professional hitter came in. September 15th, after the August 35th deadline, he was picked up to the Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers used Sayers kind of as a replacement player to hope that he would keep the lead in the standings and make the playoffs. Uh, he did lose the division, but won the wild card. But because Sayers was brought in after the deadline, he wasn't being able to play. And in their playoffs, Cardinals made it as far as the World Series, losing to St. Louis. And even though the Tigers didn't sign him for the new season, we knew something was on the horizon because more teams, with the parity in the National American League, it seemed more teams were at an opportunity to get to the playoffs. Now, he came home technically in 2006, December 7th, when the Blue Jays signed him as a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. Of course, he made the team, and he eventually became Toronto's fourth outfielder, replacing Lyle Overbay at first as well during his time in the DL. Uh, some people will look at 2007 as rebirth of his career, and he had more playing time, and the fans loved him. And but the thing is, Toronto had a lot of injuries that year as well. He played every day because of those injuries, and he overperformed in the eyes of the media and manager John Gibbons. And Gibbons said, I don't know where we would be without him. He had the high slugging average of the Jays at 606 and a batting average by September. So he also broke a few Blue Jay records. He became the first Blue Jay on August 8, 2007, to hit 5 consecutive doubles in 5 at bats. And he became the first major leaguer to double in 5 at bats in 14 years since Charles Johnson did in '93. As of September 8th, Steers had 21 home runs and 64 RBIs. Which was really overachieving as he went because he only had really 400 bats that year. Now, November 2nd, he still signed a 2-year contract with Toronto worth 3.25 million American, which included a signing bonus and $1 million for each season afterwards. Now, at the time he became, had the greatest speed, but had a great arm as well. And he was platooned that year with Shannon Stewart in 2008, but he was doing DH for a while because when Frank Thomas was released. But Toronto didn't see him in the future, so he traded him eventually to Philadelphia. And the time with Philadelphia, he became the next level of his career. He hit his first career postseason home run in Game 4 again against Broxton, of course, which allowed the Phillies to take the lead and win the game. And that year, he made it all the way to the World Series, defeating the Rays 4 games to 1. Um, he stayed with Philadelphia in 2009, but to win the World Series, not too many Maritimers have won a World Series title. I think just a handful. And what Stairs winning all of Canada celebrated. I know when I was a Bugle Observer sports editor in 2008, it was one of the happiest write-ups I've ever done to celebrate Matt Stairs because Matt had great connections to Carleton County, York County region. and we consider him kind of the guy for sports in the province. Now, he did make the World Series in 2009, but the Phillies unfortunately came a little bit short to win a repeat. Now, during his time with the Phillies, there was a special T-shirt that was put together for him, and also there was a warning sign that was put him in the elevators. In support of the Phillies, it was called "In case of emergency, use stairs." Now, 2010, he agreed to a minor league contract with the Padres when the Phillies he parted ways with Stairs. He was invited to spring training, and he made a roster with a left-hander pinch hitter off the bench. Now, August 21st of that year, he hit his 21st home run as a pinch hitter to break a tie with Cliff Johnson, former Blue Jay, of course, for the major league record. Now, on December 14th, the Nationals signed Stairs to a minor league contract, not an invitation to spring training. He made the team again, and he was mostly used as a pitch hitter. And but his career was waning. He was released. He was designated for assignment on July 27th, and he was released on August 1st and announced his retirement 2 days later. Now, post career, he's done a lot. He was named as hitting coach of the Phillies in 2016. In 2017-18, he was hired as hitting coach for the Padres. But in his off-field duties, he's always been involved in different stuff. Now, in 2012, of course, he became NESN studio analyst, and he became part of the Phillies broadcast crew in 2014 after time with NESN had passed on. He was doing color, of course, and um, he again left the team to join as hitting coach for the 2017 season. Now, Stairs is also a respected family man. Him and his wife Lisa have three great children, and he spends time, of course, in the Franklin region. And he also took time from his busy schedule to coach the FHS ice hockey team in 2012. And I think the greatest honor for Stairs and his immediate friends and family to see him to get into the Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame in 2012, and baseball New Brunswick as well has done great recognition. He in November 2016 he was on a Hall of Fame ballot, but he did not receive enough votes to appear on the future ballot. But obviously there's an outside possibility that there's more Hall of Fames in his future because not only as a builder too, because and as a overall what do you call great role model and friend to baseball across New Brunswick. Now, when you talk about baseball in New Brunswick, you can talk to people like Dwayne Tingley, the great sports editor out of the Moncton region. You can talk to Bill Saunders, the big historian and athlete and coach in the Brunswick Senior Baseball League. Without Matt Stairs, I don't think the Brunswick baseball would have been recognized like it was over the last number of years. Most people know Matt Stairs. You know the fact he comes from New Brunswick. We know the fact that he's always done something that went above and beyond the maritime hard work ethic, and he's a great guy. He's always doing things to benefit the sport he loves so much. Now, Matt Stairs for me is somebody that will always be a top 10 athlete I've covered because I've seen him grow as a hometown hero. I've interviewed him once on a call-in show, but let me tell you something. For sports editors, he was always good copy. He was always doing something. You see him on TV, and he's the type of guy when you see him on American TV, you raise a glass because every time the American announcer would mention Matt Stairs, oh, a professional hitter, the man that we all can count on. Because I mean, if there was more, I'm still shocked here, and I hope you take it the right way. Like teams like the New York Yankees and a few other marquee teams never reached out to him. Was he the cost-efficient slugger that most teams needed? Pretty much so. But I would love to see him play for the Yankees because I still don't know why the Yankees never picked him up. Maybe because you don't want to pick up for too many former Oakland A's because of the robbery. Who knows? And but with Major League Baseball being down, there's been a lot of stress, obviously, with the situation. Please check out some Matt Steers highlights on YouTube. Tell me what you think. Leave a like, subscribe, or a comment. And if you like my podcast channel, tell your friends. If you don't, well, keep it yourself. Okay. Keep swinging, Apollo. And if you see a baseball flying by your house, out of the blue, it could be a Matt Stairs ball from decades, a couple of decades before, still flying out there in the ether. And don't forget how many baseball Olympians we're going to have ever from New Brunswick. Just think about that. That alone is tremendous. Have a good day. Bye.